With Jujutsu Kaisen back on the scene, I'm sure it won't be long before people are saying this is how an anime season should look when compared to the horror show that was One Punch Man Season 3, which, in case you didn't know, overall looked freaking terrible. But to find something in common between these two verses, I thought I'd grab two people who, despite being strong, always seem to find themselves in some real unfortunate situations. Two characters who stand above many others within their series for power they behold, yet always end up taking on the smaller percentage of powerhouses who stand above them. It's Jogo from Jujutsu Kaisen versus Genos from One Punch Man. Both strong operators who can cause absolute devastation with overwhelming force, yet usually seem to be tasked with taking on unwinnable challenges for whatever their situation may be at the time. However, what if these two incendiary combatants set about trying to explode the other? Who blows and who gets blown? Blown up, I mean. What were you thinking about? So, with Jogo skulking through the countryside, he's garnered the fury of the Hero Association upon him, since he's just smoked a nearby town after being offended by some small-time hero who viewed him as a monster to defeat. With the streets in flames and Jogo mumbling his disgust while he walks towards the next town in the distance, Demon Cyborg had been mobilized by the Hero Association to deal with this destructive threat. Following the trail of smoke and flames, Genos catches up with the cursed spirit who's walking along like a grumpy old man. Calling out to him, Genos announces that he's here to exterminate Jogo and that he can't afford to be late home since he and Saitama sensei are playing cards this evening, and he's sure there'll be a valuable lesson in the experience. Jogo, offended by yet another pretentious hero thinking himself superior to someone of his caliber, states he will make this metal brat see the difference between a true inheritor of the earth like himself and a creation of deceitful humans like the robotic toy in front of him. With Genos saying, "Enough talk," the demon cyborg claims he'll be incinerating him now, to which Jogo retorts, "That's just what I was thinking." Starting with Genos, the demon cyborg has had numerous upgrades from Dr. Kuseno throughout the course of the series due to his constant losses. Genos tends to have issues staying in one piece when fighting overwhelming monsters, and can generally be too self-assured in some fights which lead him to being taken advantage of. Despite this, he's always been a powerhouse in comparison to many heroes, and one who only has gotten better and better as time goes on. Early Season 1 Genos had cannons capable of blowing through mountains and keeping up with massively hypersonic opponents like Deep Sea King, a monster who moves so fast that it made lightning fast heroes such as Lightning Max unable to witness him move from street level to his flank at the top of a skyscraper, and also was capable of moving so fast against speeder sound Sonic that the rain seemed to stop moving. Early Season 2 Genos received an upgrade which allowed him higher firepower and enhanced his attributes enough to dodge numerous lasers which were confirmed to contain the properties of light, placing him reasonably between massively hypersonic plus and faster than light depending on your interpretation. Genos was then upgraded again into his post G4 upgrade, further enhancing his overall firepower and speed upon what he already had. When battling Awakened Cockroach, it inquired if Genos had eye lasers, then proceeded to suggest they wouldn't matter since he can dodge above the speed of light, which recognizes the connection between light and movement. This essentially stops faster than light combat in One Punch Man from being headcanon or pure calcs and provides it with stable speed scaling tied to the plot, which, by the way, is still in Season 2 territory where Genos has yet to receive more upgrades. Following this, his loss to Goketsu saw him receive yet another upgrade, known in the community as the post-Super Fight Tournament upgrade, which further raised his overall stats once again. By this point, his scuffle with Garo had the Hero Hunter noting that Genos physically hit as hard as Tank Top Master, someone who is capable of launching a nearly 500,000 pound cement block into the sky at speeds above a bullet with one arm. This is mostly to say that if you're wondering whether or not Genos has the strength level to hurt any JJK characters with his punches, wonder no more. After this, Genos was upgraded yet again for the Monster Association arc, and by the end of that arc, Genos' upgrade that he had within that event were capable of firing blasts which could potentially scale up to small planetary levels of power, going by their ability to contend with and deflect planet-endangering attacks from Psychos Orochi. Past this point in current events, Genos was upgraded to his current model, and while the firepower standard of his latest upgrade is still somewhat unknown, it's reasonable to accept that going by how powerful he has become throughout all of those upgrades, where he was contending for light speed combat movements 3 or 4 models ago, he should be reasonably faster than light going by the standards of what scaling usually accepts for that now. It's hard to say if his cannons can operate on a potentially small planetary scale with his current lightning core upgrade, since the previous model was focused on all-out attack, whereas this seems like a return to balanced power, but it should be around country to multi-continental by previous upgrade logic, and going by how effortlessly he defeated a dragon level threat in addition. Another feature of Lightning Core is that he has the ability to flash a blinding light across a wide area from his chest, bright enough to blind even Saitama momentarily, which would no doubt be useful in setting up attacks, energy or physical. Also, Genos is a very underrated hand-to-hand combatant in a cracked verse for martial arts, having held his own against the likes of Speed of Sound Sonic and even Garo at times, both fighters whose skill level operates above most, if not all JJK characters in pure technique when taking into account the overpowered nature of martial arts within One Punch Man. I know Genos' section was a little long-winded, but I thought it better to show you the path of Genos' ascension for legitimacy, since there are some versus characters out there claiming faster than light combat speed, yet can't back it up narratively even half as well. Over on the other side we have Jogo, a special grade cursed spirit who is incredibly powerful in his own right. Like Genos, despite being a tremendous combatant, he's garnered something of a reputation for being a punching bag thanks to high profile battles against stronger opponents. However, those opponents are Gojo and Sukuna, both people who most characters in JJK would lose to, and is something that a lot of people learned the hard way when Jogo turned up on the scene in the Shibuya incident to show everyone that unless you're one of those two aforementioned characters, this guy is capable of some real damage and without much effort from him either. Jogo's been said to have been comparable to around 8 or 9 Sukuna fingers, which eventually checks out when we see what his greatest attack can amount to. Jogo's maximum meteor was so strong that even the Sukuna he faced essentially suggested that it could have damaged him if it made contact, and I don't blame him for dodging it either, even if he could take it. Who in their right mind wants to be hit by a massive flaming meteor? This singular attack is known to be Jogo's best, and it should sit around large town level for its power. However, statements within official material believe that it's even capable of getting to city level, which could boost Jogo from large town level to city level or so, depending on how much of that you want to accept. The biggest issue here though is that we've seen the move, and the move did not reach that supposed level, so that begs the question of how much of that city statement do you really want to believe. It has to be remembered that Sukuna didn't interrupt, block, or weaken the attack in any way, he just dodged it, so the meteor should have been able to do its utmost amount of damage without compromise, and yet it didn't get to city level. You could argue maybe Jogo held back, yet he's a cursed spirit who hates humans and doesn't give a damn about environmental impact here, so there's no real reason to go with that line of thinking. However, if city level sounds better to you, then feel free to go with that. We cannot forget about the domain expansion either. This creates a space which represents the inside of a volcano, and average sorcerers would burn up on impact just by being here. Jogo can attack using the environment and his usual offense of fiery attacks too. He also has domain amplification, where he can attempt to hit you with an attack which won't miss, which no doubt is very useful. When it comes to combat speed in Jujutsu Kaisen, the most popular approach from what I know comes down to 2 choices. Higher tier characters working around Mach 3 because of the Mach 3 statement, and then the faster ones which can range from massively hypersonic, relativistic, or maybe even faster than light, going by things like dodging lightning attacks, electromagnetic waves, and some other stuff. With that being said, for a character of Jogo's level, it seems most reasonable for him to be anywhere from Mach 2 to Mach 10, but just for simplicity's sake, we'll put it around hypersonic plus. Whether you think it's a bit lower or a bit higher is not too much of a big deal for this current situation, so don't take it super closely, but just assume it to be within those ranges. The relativistic and FTL interpretations are pretty controversial for most, but even still, Jogo isn't even the one representing out on the streets for those feats anyway, so he's out here battling within the speed of sound ranges for his combat movements. So, to give Jogo something concrete to work with for the sake of this video, let's say he's around hypersonic plus combat speed with large town level to city level attack potency. So, In the battle of two guys who love punching above their weight, who is actually more dangerous? As far as combat speed goes, One Punch Man characters have been shown to consistently operate at a pace which leaves no room for narrative misinterpretation at the higher levels. The series makes it clear as to what kind of movement patterns and speed characters of Genos' pedigree operate within, and they're far above what someone like Jogo would be able to handle. Even the Genos who fought Deep Sea King is capable of completely overwhelming Jogo, which may surprise a lot of the people who don't know the speed rates within that period. And these mentioned combat speeds are usually shown in the context of dynamic, consistent battle movement to lend further credence to them being applicable in a high octane encounter. However, if we drop the speed difference for a moment and look at other areas without giving Genos an absurdly higher speed gap, Genos' physical power is so strong that even before we begin comparing explosions, there's a very credible case to be made that Genos' punches and kicks would be enough to completely splatter Jogo, meaning if Jogo tries to get anywhere close to Genos, a combination attack from the Demon Cyborg will likely end this before anyone even gets to show off their destructive force. When characters like Tank Top Master or Puri Puri Prisoner are capable of beating demon level foes to death with their fists, it also means Genos is able to do this too, since he is also a very physical opponent. Demon level threats can range from being city level to mountain level to possibly even more depending on the monster, which means various S-class heroes, Genos being one of them, can defeat beings above Jogo's level with brute force alone. In short, Jogo being anywhere within arm's reach of Genos will mean instant death for him. I haven't mentioned Jogo's martial arts anywhere throughout this video because no matter the level, they will not be enough. Genos has traded hands with Garo, Sonic and Flashy Flash, all of whom are of skill levels far above Jogo. When it comes to explosions, Jogo's offense is certainly dangerous, but not something which would concern Genos. Even Jogo's unavoidable attack and volcanic domain would not be enough to stop the Demon Cyborg. It's a bit of a misconception that just anything can hurt Genos these days, but he does become more durable with each passing upgrade, and anything which does hurt him is of significant power or proficiency to be able to do so in the first place. People like to call Genos a glass cannon because they've just seen him get torn up so many times, but he's tanked hits from stronger monsters than ones who have torn him apart in the past, which definitely proves his upgraded models do rise in durability to where hits which may have scrapped him in the past wouldn't do so again from some of the same opponents. Genos' explosions on the other hand were arguably already stronger than Jogo's back in season 1, going from the House of Evolution erasing Blast. From that version of him to the current is a tremendous gap, so if you refer back to the scaling earlier, even Genos' casual focus beams would prove fatal for Jogo. If he even attempted the massive meteor, Genos could blow straight through it and explode the entire thing along with Jogo himself with firepower which has far dwarfed large town or city level many chapters ago. In character wise, Genos is known to kill monsters immediately. He does not play around with monsters, unlike how he tends to start slower against humans. When testing himself against Deep Sea King in the simulation, he began the fight with machine gun blows, then an incineration cannon which ended the fight near immediately. The worst part for Jogo in all of this is he won't even have time to experiment or really test the waters, since Genos will, in character, treat him like a monster and opt to kill him in the most effective and efficient way possible, which will most likely be in the form of closing the distance with his superior speed immediately, engage with machine gun blows, and then use his incineration cannons to eradicate Jogo entirely. The closest fight would be between the first instance of Genos who fought Mosquito Girl, where their respective firepowers look a lot closer to one another. However, Genos should still be substantially faster going by Mosquito Girl's combat speed expectation as a demon level threat. What this means is that not only does current Genos beat Jogo, but every single shown version of Genos would be capable of defeating Jogo. Thanks for watching, like the video and subscribe for more content like this.